All right, guys, I am apparently live. There's going to be a little bit of feedback, so let me know if you guys can hear me and if everything is going well. Going to give it a few minutes to see if people are coming in and they can hear me, and then we'll just get it started. But while we're waiting, you guys know how this works. Definitely check me out at youtube.com/lore reloaded. If you're watching this on anything that isn't YouTube, check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded, as well as twitch.tv/lore reloaded. I will actually start doing a lot more stuff on that. I just have not yet. So hopefully we'll get to that and we will see where it's going. Again, giving it a few seconds to see if people are actually seeing this or if they're going to show up or how we're doing it. I am trying this a completely different way and I can't tell if it's working yet or not. So I guess that, good people, is where we are in fact at. So I hope everybody's doing well. Sounds like it's coming in good, though I don't see anybody showing up. I don't know if it's going out yet or not. Let me see. It does appear public and everything. What is going on? From Japan, Rylan Sato. How are you doing? It's always fun to come from Japan. Yeah. But there has been some issues going on with YouTube, so I am giving it a second to see if anything else catches up. If you see this or you got an alert, let me know. And maybe I'm just doing it too early, too. Maybe everybody's used to me doing it at like 10 o'clock and not 9 or 11 or whatever. I don't know. I am somewhat concerned, though, because no one is showing here, and that is not consistent with how it's been done in the past. So, Rylan, did you see this in your feed, or did you get an alert for it? And just let me know. Now we got to do like the 30-second wait, or whatever it is. And I think that I have it set up. Maybe not. Yeah, it's public and everything. So, intriguing, as they say. Orville is real Star Trek. Star Trek Discovery is not. Came up in my subscriptions. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people actually say that. Good, sir. Nitpicking nerd. Always a pleasure to see you, nitpicking nerd. What's going on, Al Waifu? Wayward is about to go to work. Well, just quit work. I mean, that's just the easy thing. Just quit work. What's going on, Captain Jesse 1? Taito in the morning. Augmented Pepe, or V, as they like to say. You're not the V who is a proponent of Sargon, are you? Are you that V? What's going on, Black Adam? It is good to be back, good sir. It is good to be back. All right, so we're going to go ahead, and it looks like it's finally showing up, and it's finally showing up in people's feeds only 3 minutes after it started, so that's really good, because people who do the replay love that when it takes that long. This is going to actually be a video. You know what? Something else I didn't check. I'll bet you this may be a problem, too. Watch. No. Okay, cool. All right, so I thought it may have been something else. It wasn't. Okay, so this is actually going to be taking a look at an article. An article that was done by the Telegraph. So for those who don't know, a while back, had been about a month, I had a request to do a interview. And so I went ahead and decided to do the interview. They did not tell me what the interview was about or what was going on with it, so that was somewhat of a surprise to see the title. Now, I did put in my community that you guys could go take a look at it. Unfortunately, it requires a sign-in. Some people are saying that requires you to pay for it. You actually don't. You can get a free trial or whatever. And I'm going to put it in the description below, and I would definitely suggest you guys go and take a look and read the article itself. But for those who can't or don't want to, I'm going to go ahead and go through it. I actually haven't read the entire article, so if you have, then you're in for a treat, because I'm going to be doing some of it live, good sir. Oh my god, he actually looks a little like V. I don't look anything. If you're talking about the V, the dude who Sargon's lapdog, I don't look anything like him. If you're talking about a different V, I'm not sure who you're talking about. Thomas Potts giving $2 to the chat. Thank you so much. Super chats and supporters like you are how this channel continues to go. Nice to see you live streaming. Good to be live streaming. While Laura's doing a live show and we're talking Discovery, how many people watch the crap show? 12? Would seem 12. We're not just talking Discovery, good sir. We're doing a response to the Telegraph. All right, so let's just get into it. As you guys know, I will come back and forth with you, and if you want anything to add to it, add to it. I honestly have not read this entire article, so I'm going to be doing it live. This was regarding an interview that was done by one Jonathan Holmes, which you guys should be able to see it right here. Again, I will be watching for your what you guys are commenting and come back to it. Again, I had no idea that it was going to be titled this, or I don't even think I had anything know about with it being social justice warriors. I don't think that ever came up. So let's just get into it. So again, Sci-Fi's social justice wars. Why do Star Trek Discovery fans hate the Orville? By one Jonathan Holmes. Oh God, the Telegraph. Yes, indeed, the Telegraph. I didn't know they were known for their Toriness, but hey, I guess they're Tories all the way. What's going on, Vile Mike? All right, let's start reading it. Parallel dimensions are a common workplace hazard for any Starfleet captain. Recently, Star Trek flew through the wrong nebula and was split into two shows, Star Trek Discovery and the Orville. Now Star Trek fans are going to war over which is the quote-unquote true successor. Star Trek Discovery is the newest entry in the franchise. Star Trek Discovery is the newest entry in the franchise, and although it takes place before Captain Kirk's adventures on the Enterprise, it is a thoroughly modern show. The special effects are blockbuster quality, and it's... Why can't I read today? The special effects are blockbuster quality, and its episodes follow long story arcs that often get grimmer than any Star Trek show has gotten before, or has got before. I put "got" in there. Yes and no, I suppose. I think Star Trek Deep Space Nine got really dark. They had suicide involved, though I guess Discovery gets darker than that. Yeah, I guess I'd go that way. I don't know. By the way, let me know what you guys think about this. This will actually include an interview that I did, so we'll be seeing it from there. Let's see. Meanwhile, The Orville is a science fiction dramedy from Seth MacFarlane, the man behind Family Guy, starring himself as the captain of the titular starship. MacFarlane is a massive Trekkie. Patrick Stewart stars in American Dad, and MacFarlane appears in Star Trek Enterprise. Yeah, except he was only there for like 10 seconds. They really did him wrong. Star Trek did MacFarlane wrong in that, in my opinion on that. The similarities between the Orville and the Next Generation era Trek are uncanny. Wow. The similarities between the Orville and the Next Generation era Trek are uncanny. I can't read. I think we should all like get something to drink, and every time I mess up reading, we all take a sip. I think that's what we need to do. Orville Trek is better. Discovery is Trek Hammer 20,000. You know, I can actually see that. I could see Discovery being like the 40K of the Trek universe if we're going to give Discovery that distinction. Anyway, back to talking about this. The Orville and the Next Generation era Trek are uncanny. A tastefully carpeted starship looks like the model down from Picard's. Its tastefully carpeted starship looks like the model down from Picard's. It's staffed by half the officers of Starfleet. Penny Johnson from Deep Space Nine is the ship's doctor, while familiar Trek faces like Marina Sirtis, Counselor Troy, and Robert Picardo regularly cameo. Behind the scenes, Jonathan Frakes directs for both Orville and Discovery, and it's produced by long-term Trek boss Brannon Braga. I did not know that, actually. Everything about the direction, lighting, music, and even the doorbells are lifted from the Next Generation. The only difference is you can't imagine Picard making a fart joke. I think they actually, he never made a fart joke, but he did make some pretty bad ones. I really, really think so. We'd all be drunk before noon, says Thresher Maw, talking about how much I'm messing up reading. Yes, we would. I don't know why I decided to do this at 9 in the morning, but hey, here we are. It's all for your entertainment. Going back to the article, the Orville is as close to Star Trek as you can get without getting hit by copyright, says James Chambers. Wow, I wonder who that is. Under the name Lore Reloaded, the single father earns a living producing in-depth histories of Star Trek ships. I wouldn't be surprised if Seth MacFarlane's original pitch to executives was, it's the original series campiness meets the series serious tone of TNG. Yeah, so it's interesting because basically, for those who don't know, I'm a film student, and when we're going through that, that's exactly how a lot of the pitches will go. They basically say it's this meets this. And I, honest to God, think that was kind of what they did. They wanted to take the silliness of the original series, the fun, the jokes, at least season 1. Now, when this was going on, it was still through season 2, so we hadn't finished season 2 at all of the Orville or Discovery. But at least the first season was very much all about the jokes, trying to take the themes of TNG, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think? Laura should do Game of Thrones breakdowns before I lose all hope this Sunday. I actually have done Game of Thrones breakdowns. They're on the channel. I always wonder if Robert Picardo was picked to play on Star Trek because of his last name. I don't know. I don't think so. I love the Orville. I hate the poor excuse for Star Trek that is Discovery. Hashtag not my track. Okay. Laura, you're in the news. Wow, you just need a sex tape and you could be a Kardashian. Maybe there's one already out. They just haven't found it. You don't know. Going back to the article, both Discovery and Orville premiered in September 2017, and with both reaching the end of their second season, the existence of two pretenders to the captain's chair has led to a bitter civil war among Star Trek fans. Oh, I see what you're saying. Both Discovery and Orville premiered in September 2017, and with both reaching the end of their second season, the existence of two pretenders to the captain's chair has led to a bitter civil war among Star Trek fans. Today in this society, we have alien life forms that we call trolls, joked George Takei, who played Sulu in the original series. Yeah, so, again, this happened 3 or 4 months, if not more, ago. It could be less. It feels like it was more. A lot of people try to make it Orville versus Discovery. And I honestly don't feel like they're on the same level necessarily. I think they have the same concept. I just don't see Orville as Star Trek necessarily. In my opinion, could have been different back then. But that's just my opinion. I think Discovery is Trek, and that makes a lot of people mad, but that's just my opinion. And it is what it is, It's Trek, and you may not like it. You may call it bad Trek. You may call it bad writing, but it is still there. I don't think there's someone wanting the captain's chair. I think Orville stands on its own merits, in my opinion. 81 watching and 8 likes. You're right. Come on, people. 80 people watching and only 8 likes. Look, hit the like or the thumbs down. Don't worry. Hey, today you can do it free. So today only you can like or dislike for free. Andrew Gilbertson says, Lore Reloaded, that sounds about right. Season 1 was jokey, talking about Orville using the Star Trek shorthand as a substitute for world building. Season 2 decided to start taking the foundation and developing its own world. I would agree with that. In Orville, I think they tried to take some nostalgic of what had happened and then went from there and tried to make it into their own thing. I do. I think season 1 was trying to get the attention, whereas now they're building their own place. I would agree with that. Michael Maloney helping out the channel. Thank you so much. Orville is Trek without the stick up the wazoo. See, again, I don't know. Maybe. Bitter civil war equal lame YouTube nerd fight, says Pertifray 5. I think there's a lot of division. I don't think it's just on YouTube. I think there is definitely division there. Imagine if Orville had the same budget as Discovery. It would have great characters, stories, and also better special effects and action. I'll be honest with you, nitpicking nerd. I think they do well with what they have. I think they're both comparable. So even if one has less than the other, I agree. I can only imagine where they would have went without it. By the way, thank you guys so much for the super chats. I really appreciate that. It does help. Thank you guys for just watching. 32 people have thumbed up, 1 thumb down, and 95 people watching. I guess the other 2/3 are just scared. That's okay. Going back to the actual article. Unlike the old good nature's Wars/Trek rivalry, which only got heated... Unlike the old good-natured Wars/Trek rivalry, which only occasionally got heated, Discovery versus the Orville is a nightmare of swearing and abbreviations fought across social media. Star Trek Discovery is an SJW wet dream. The Orville is cis trash. F Discovery, F McFarlane, etc., etc. Forever and ever. One Trekkie declared they hated Discovery with every effing particle of my being in every single quantum manifestation of me in every parallel universe. I really wish that he had shown that quote. Because that would be awesome. I would live stream contact that person. Because that would just be excellent. Though I will say, I think there's always been tribalism. We've always had Kirk versus Picard, Trek versus Wars. It feels worse now to me. It feels like we're all trying to rip each other apart and we're all scared and we all just want everybody to be angry. But tribalism has always existed, just in one different form or another. I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys think. Frosty Thunderlord pressing the thumbs up is too much work, though giving $1.99. Thank you so much. I agree. It's pretty difficult, so I can't blame you for that. Kal-El loves my work. Well, thank you. I love your work, Kal-El. I love your work. Discovery is just the ugly stepchild of the Trek franchise no one really wants, but the people who are fans of it built up the hype in their head and can't bring themselves to admit they're wrong. Possible. All right. Going back to the actual article. As ever, Rotten Tomatoes is at the front lines of our tiresome culture war. While the Orville gets 65% from top critics on the site, it has an average audience score of 94%. For Discovery, the professionals give it 82%. The audience only 48%. Yeah, I have no use for Rotten Tomatoes. I think that it... I don't really like the gauge. I don't have any respect for the critics, and I do think that mob mentality destroys what the audience will do or say. I don't know. I don't have any real respect for Rotten Tomatoes. What's SJW? Is that a real thing? Go away, anti-Trekkers. What's social justice warriors? Don Juan, don't even. I thought you liked anti-Trekker, Don Juan. Discovery is what is dividing people. Orville just happens to hit people with some of the 90s era nostalgia. I would agree with that, Alex V, for sure. Going back to the actual article. I see the fight all the time. People arguing that Orville is the real Star Trek or how Discovery is much better, says Chambers. Hey, that's me. Everything is contentious and everybody has to have a tribe these days. Ben Hedges, a fellow YouTuber, one of the most popular videos on his Generation Tech channel is titled Why the Orville is Better Than Star Trek Discovery. He states, Star Trek fans have, ever since the last movie of TNG and the end of Voyager and DS9, longed for direct continuations. Instead, what they've been given is these commercialized movies by J.J. Abrams that people liked. But it's not Star Trek, it's a reboot. Now people call Star Trek Discovery STD for a joke, and I kind of agree with them. Seth MacFarlane is delivering the true spirit of a Star Trek show. Fans are like, this is the Star Trek we wanted. By the way, Ben Hodges, Generation Tech, they don't really need a shout out from me, but it's a great channel. I would definitely suggest taking a look at it. And I do agree. I think I stated it even before this. It's just all tribal now. You can never be okay with something or just disagree. When it comes to Discovery, I think that it is Trek, it is canon, and it is not written the best when it comes to continuity. It is not written the best when it comes about a care for the history. And the spirit of the show is completely different of what every other show before it has been written with. Beyond that, I think there are some good themes, some characters I do like, and I think Discovery, contained within Discovery, did overall fairly well and had a decent season 2 ending for Discovery. But you can't do that. It has to be tribalism. You have to call it STD. You have to call it a sexually transmitted disease. You're either with them or you're against them, no matter which side, both left and right. And it's our culture. It's because of politics. And it's just frustrating. Rylan Sato says, why do people get riled up about the Klingon War going hot despite Kirk saying it was cold, while at the same time praise Axanar, which is about hot Klingon War around that time? Rylan, I do believe there's illusions that the war actually did get hot, that there was an actual war. Maybe not. But that said, Axanar, the spirit of Axanar was consistent with the spirit of TNG, the spirit of DS9, the spirit of Voyager. You can't say that about Discovery. So even if we accept that it breaks continuity in that way, it was made in a way that honored what came before it. Now, that's not to talk about Alec, who I have some serious issues with as of now, or anything like that. Just looking at the way the movie was made, or the film was made itself, right? It's about why you're making it and how you're making it. And Discovery is distinctly different in almost every way. And I think people would be hard pressed to prove otherwise. Michael Weir, helping out the channel. Thank you so much. Wow. Michael Weir is one of the, biggest supporters of the channel. I can't tell you how much it helps me out. Thank you so much. Good morning, Laura. I have to agree with the Orville being better than Star Trek Discovery. Keep up the awesome job. I would say that I do think that Orville is better than Discovery if you're looking at what they were trying to do from a Star Trek or nostalgic feel. There are some things, in my opinion, Discovery may do a little bit better. But that's because I really look at them as two different genres. I do think Orville is getting more serious, but overall it's a comedy. And Discovery was more action, more drama. And I think that because of the styles they were in, that they did it better. A comedy is not going to do drama. Generally, a comedy is not going to do drama as well as a drama does drama, right? So going from that standpoint. I think the lack of continuity is my biggest problem, says Eagle8599. I think Paramount is just trying to show off their technical skills. If it's between Enterprise and original series, the tech is too advanced. Kinda. We can go further in that later if you guys want to. Star Trek Discovery is a very generic science fiction show. Dressed up as Trek, Orville is going for the fill of Trek while forging its own path. Says Michael Maloney, again helping out the channel with a super chat. I completely agree with that. Absolutely. Discovery is performative wokeness in video form, says Clarth1234. Suppose so. All right, looking back at the actual article itself. While the Orville looks like a lost episode of Voyager, Discovery looks like... While the Orville looks like a lost episode of Voyager. I don't know about that. Maybe. While the Orville looks like a lost episode of Voyager, Discovery looks unlike any previous Star Trek show. Starfleet apparently went through a hipster phase over the 10 years between Discovery and TOS, abandoning its stunning holograms and special effects for retro switches and 1960s era computer banks. What I'll say about that is I don't really mind the upgrades to the looks. The bridge annoyed me, but... if that was it, it was just an upgraded look. I don't necessarily hate it. I actually did a video on this, and you guys should take a look at it, about TOS dystopia. My in-universe lore theory is that the battles, the war with the Klingons, and then what happened with Control forced the Federation to devolve its technology for a while, which is why you see it the way you see it. Or at least that's the theory I have. Let's see. Whoops. Discovery is performative wokeness in video form. Clarth says again, thank you so much. Discovery should have been an ensemble show and nerf Burnham. I completely agree. I think that it would have been better as an ensemble. While the sorry, I just read that. Going back to the article, the way continuity is handled in Discovery feels disrespectful, says Chambers, me. If you look at Star Wars, they're able to make ships that look like they did in the 70s or 80s, but still bring it up to date. There's no doubting Discovery's production quality. Forget Kirk's wobbly walls. Discovery could fly through a black hole without scuffing the paint. Oh my God, said Jonathan Frakes the first time he stepped onto the set of Discovery. There's a roof. Yet, while the crew of the Orville is still happy to romp around the same Californian forests as Kirk and Picard, pretending they're alien planets, Discovery's officers are trapped on their expensive bridge. Every alien on the Discovery is a masterpiece of prosthetics. The Orville's robotic crew member Isaac seems to be built from tinfoil. The fact that the Orville is a comedy helps the bad effect, says Hedges. Hey, look, it's the 1990s, or it's like the 1990s. It's proof that sci-fi's reach needs to exceed its budget. Our imaginations fill in the rest. If you look at the same episodes, like the Drumhead, that's considered one of the best TNG episodes. If you look at some of the episodes, like the Drumhead, that's considered one of the best TNG episodes, says Chambers, but that was actually a bottle show, one which took place entirely on pre-existing sets to save money. Discovery, competing with quality television like Westworld and Game of Thrones, appears hampered by its budget. Wow. How the hell did I... You know that I write scripts now for a living? Let's try that one more time. It's proof that sci-fi's reach needs to exceed its budget. Our imaginations fill in the rest. If you look at some episodes like the Drumhead, that's considered one of the best TNG episodes, says Chambers, but that was actually a bottle show for one which took place entirely on pre-existing sets to save money. So I guess I'm just trying to consider... I would agree that I think that they put so much money into prosthetics and into the actual sets that it took away from the writing. And I think it's really easy to do once you put a lot of money into anything that's not the writers, that you pull away from the actual story itself. So I guess I'd agree with that. I don't know why the hell I can't read today, guys. I'm sorry. Literally nobody cares about production value. Star Trek has never been Kino, says Clarth. No backstory, not introducing the Bajorans. No backstory, says Peter Quinn. Okay. Star Trek looked awesome in the 90s. The prosthetics were great. Why change them? You know, the thing about that is, what he was saying when it comes to the effects on the Orville, I didn't notice anything negative. I don't know that it's I don't know that they look bad. It doesn't even look like tinfoil to me. I don't know. Am I wrong? I just, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm building on my own. And I think that there is some truth to that. In storytelling, you can break the rules or bend the rules as long as everything else is tight and consistent. Like with Star Trek, it's hard to believe that there's a utopia or that evolved humans that fly around in spaceships. But you can allow that as long as the writing stays consistent and you can connect in other ways. So maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that one. Johnson Lim, Lore Reloaded. You have been comparing Discovery with Orville for the past few videos and praised Orville more than Discovery, and you were saying that's unfair for others to do that. Johnson Lim, I would first challenge you to find a recent, quote-unquote, recent video where I did that. I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm saying that they're different. Now, I think my opinions have probably changed on that. When it first started, I compared heavily Orville to Discovery. But I think that now it's kind of... I'm now at a point where I look at them as distinctly different, and I think that's good. He'll probably talk about it because I remember the interview. I think Orville needs to stand on its own. I don't think Orville needs to be known as Nostalgia Trek if it's going to survive. And I think it's good that I specifically have found myself distinguishing between the two, personally. Firetel, $5. Thank you so much. For me, Orville is the better show, simply because there I care about the characters and want to know more about them, their species and cultures. Yeah, and that's exactly my point, Firetel. And, I'm going to be doing... I said I was going to do a breakdown of the Battle of Earth like a while back, and I'm going to do it. It's just some things came up. But I care more about the Battle for Earth in the Orville season, I think it's season 2, than I did in any battle or any episode of Discovery. And I cared about it because I cared about the characters, because I felt that they were real and I felt like there was actual stakes. I very rarely felt actual stakes happened on Discovery. And I just think it's better writing, in my opinion. Dark Knight, Dark King 616. Lore, your theory of dystopian toss makes sense, but it is a hand wave to try and paper over the plot holes. It says a lot about Discovery that it needs hand waving from fans to make the continuity make sense. I would say yes and no. I would say that there's a lot of plot holes throughout Trek. I just think that Discovery does it the worst, and you've had to hand wave or explain all those issues throughout time. Right. So, I don't know. That's my opinion on it. Michael Burnham, Clarth says, Michael Burnham is a Mary Sue. Prove me wrong. The only reason I would prove you wrong on that and say that she's not a Mary Sue is that I think the word Mary Sue is so overused that it's almost meaningless. I think a Mary Sue has so many different definitions. I would just say that she is a poorly written character, in my opinion. All right, going back to the article. Discovery, competing with quality television like Westworld and Game of Thrones, appears hampered by its budget. This claustrophobic approach has led to an increased focus on its lead character, who plays Michael Burnham, and personal emotional conflicts that are common in drama, but alien to Star Trek. Don't know if I would agree with that necessarily. I think that they have had personal and emotional conflicts, maybe not to the degree. So maybe yes or no. Gene Roddenberry's golden rule was that the crew should always be harmonious, get along with each other, says Hedges. But they are proud to break that rule. They're kind of trashing the series. I would challenge Ben on this because of Deep Space Nine. And I don't want to say too much to it because Ben's not here to defend himself. He's welcome on the show, of course. But DS9 ultimately eventually came to where they had conflicts between Starfleet officers. Now, it started out with a part of Bajor was having Bajorans on there working with them, so you could have conflicts and it wouldn't be between Starfleet officers. I also think that Gene Roddenberry having the crew being harmonious and getting along is a horrible idea. Gene Roddenberry had a lot of bad ideas. That's just my opinion on it, though. All right, keep going. Let's see. Star Trek has always centered around an inclusive, diverse vision of the future, where everyone from aliens to Scotsmen work together to better themselves. It featured one of the first televised interracial kisses and included a Russian crewman at the height of the Cold War. Yet, sadly, we are still trapped in the 21st century. I grew up in a very Christian culture where homosexuality was absolutely not accepted, but at the time I was watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, says Chambers, crediting it with normalizing homosexual relationships. And to give Discovery a point, if you look at the crew, it's not generally all white males or even humans. It's normalized that the ships are diverse, and they don't go out of their way to point it out. Yeah, I've talked about that for quite a while. I think that DS9 normalized a lot of the things that it just, you worked with whoever you worked with. It didn't matter if it was a Russian or someone who was black or white or whatnot. And homosexuality, again, was treated normal, especially in Deep Space Nine. At least that's my opinion. Lore Reloaded, Gene definitely had a lot of bad ideas. I still kind of feel like Trek should try to follow them, but not all of them were good. I disagree, Andrew. I think you can come up with an idea and not... I think you can come up with an idea like Star Trek and then have bad follow-up ideas. That's my opinion. Russ Factor, thanks for all you do. Love the in-depth video. Well, thank you. I love doing the videos. Nevertheless, in the age of Trump, such issues are fraught. Discovery detractors frequently complain about how unsubtle its progressive messaging has become. It's an odd point. Star Trek has never been a subtle show. When the original series wanted to comment on racism, it created a species of aliens painted half white and half black. The Orville continues with the tradition with the allegorical episodes on porn addiction or cultural relativism. I disagree. Some could be more blatant than others, but looking at the full body of work, it was a lot more subtle than Discovery ever was. I think, again, when it comes to homosexuality, transgenderism, when it comes to poverty, when it comes to war, suicide. I think that it had left-leaning messages that I want to say respected. I don't know that that's the right word, but at least tried to talk to the other side and not just bloviate, in my opinion. And Discovery just doesn't do that. What we should be celebrating is Michelle Nichols' retirement from the public. Okay. Lore Reloaded, have you seen The Borg 30 Years Later, a reflection from Miles O'Brien at the Daily Wire? I have not. Star Trek Discovery pandered to Twitter blue check marks, but the show doesn't have the writing quality to back it up. They phrase the argument as a political one when it's not. I would agree with that. Continuing on the article, Hedges says, from Generation Tech, if you look at the Orville, they deal with complex social issues in the show. For instance, Bordis' entire species is male, and it's illegal to fall in love with women. It's commenting on social issues, but it's not in your face. I agree. By contrast, Discovery draws its moral lessons from flame wars and think pieces, rather than alien fairy tales. Appealing to Twitter can be a high-risk strategy, as the focus is less on story than the meta-messaging of representation and art's place in the wider culture. To oversimplify, it's not about what the show says, but how it's made, and Star Trek has always been made out of plywood. I don't know. Every attempt to prove its woke credentials stumbles into a TV tropes page. Annoying snowflakes of all political stripes, everyone in the evil mirror universe is bisexual. The gay couple are inevitably tragic. By the point you have your black lead quoting RFK's speech on the assassination of Martin Luther King, to an alien played by a white man in a storyline about oppression and letting go of historical racial injustices. The messaging has become too tangled to parse. Discovery is playing Twister inside an Iron Maiden, getting jabbed from all sides. At one point, an evil character screams, "Make the Empire glorious again." Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, that right there was when you want to talk about me getting upset about Star Trek Discovery. You want to talk about me going off. That right there, "Make the Empire glorious again." I felt like in season 1, they had a rough start. They had stuff that didn't fill track. Then they started building. They started doing a lot better, even before the Mirror Universe. Then they went into the Mirror Universe. It was really building up. And then you have this stupid ass "Make the Empire glorious again" statement. And people take this wrong. And it's really frustrating me, because they're like, well, you don't like that because you must love Trump or whatever. And you couldn't be further from the truth. First off, whether I like Trump or not is irrelevant. But there are a lot of things that Trump does and says that is absolutely stupid. What his opinions on vaccines terrifies me. His opinions on several different topics just makes me worry for the world overall. But my problem is that when you do stuff like this, the "Make the Empire glorious again," you are writing it idiotically, first off, and you are dividing people unnecessarily. When he yelled "Make the Empire glorious again," he was going up against a person who eats aliens, who destroyed civilizations on a whim, and is somehow, this person is not anti-alien enough. That is parody. That only gives sympathy to a person who may not need sympathy. My problem with the "Make the Empire glorious again," and I completely agree with what I said here. My problem with it is that you have made such a parody, you have made such a mockery, that you are going to drive people into the arms of Trump. Make no mistake, mark my words here, Trump did not get into office because of the Republicans or because of any conservatives voting for him. Trump got into office because of every extreme leftist that exists on this planet. If you want to see why Trump got into office, what the hell is the dude's name? Jonathan Pye. Look up Jonathan Pye, Trump's election. He explains exactly why. It is stupid ass stuff like that that makes Discovery suck. Orville is not pro-Trump by any stretch of the imagination, and I think they have a better chance of getting people not to vote for him. That honestly is my opinion. I don't like the vaccination ideas of him myself. I do like the wall, though. It just got 10 feet higher, says Thresher. Oh, I just made it 10 feet higher. What's going up, Broken Eyes? Virginia Hansen. Trump reversed on the vaccine thing years ago. Not years ago, my good friend, but recently, I believe. Sadly, you hate Trump. You're an SJW. You love Trump. You're a right-wing Nazi. It's a lose-lose situation, says Black. I agree with that. Jonathan Pye is awesome. I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, and people are going to take that wrong too. Oh my God! All of a sudden, you spoke poorly of Trump, so you must be a liberal or something. First, it doesn't matter what I am, but secondly, if you don't want Trump in office, don't do what you did last time. That's what I'm saying. All right, here we go. Going back. Oh, look, I'm talking. That really angered me, talking about the Make the Empire Glorious again. That really angered me, says Chambers. I think Discovery has the ability to show why Trump or the border wall might not be the best idea if they told it through the story. Previously, Star Trek felt like it was trying to persuade you, not just tell you why you're bad. As a male watching it, you kind of feel like your gender is being attacked constantly, agrees Hedges. And that's my point. Broken Eye is given 99 cents. Thank you so much. Here's my thing. I think what I think about the wall, I don't want to get into that, but what I think about the wall is irrelevant. By the way, 67 people have thumbed up, 12 people thumbs down, and 137 people watching. Today and today only, you can thumbs up or thumbs down for absolutely free. So definitely check that out and hit one of it, unless you're scared. But here's my thing. If you wanted to say why the wall was a bad idea, and I'm not saying whether I agree with it or not, because that doesn't matter. Let's say that you want to tell a story and you want to present the wall as being a bad idea. Don't do this Make the Empire Glorious Again BS. This, oh my God, we're so horrible parody that they could fight against. You should have had a scene with dialogue between Michael and what the hell is his name again? I like the character. And the villain, I forget his name. And where they talk about building a wall around the Federation and why it doesn't work. This Make the Empire Glorious Again only made a few people happy, and you just divided the base. And it perplexes me to a degree, because doesn't CBS want to make money? So why would you do that? I never felt like disco was attacking my gender. I felt like it was trying to make porn for woke people. You're not charging for thumbs up, says Virginia Hansen. Yeah, today only, we're not charging for thumbs up. So definitely hit it if you haven't yet. All right, so looking back at the article, Chambers sees a clear divide on his channel. I'm not saying everybody who likes the Orville are necessarily Trump supporters, but I can tell you that on my channel, people who like the Orville tend to come across as more conservative, while people who like Discovery tend to come across as more liberal. I would agree with that. Now, everybody in the comment section is about to say that they're all liberals and that they like Orville, or that they're all Republicans and they like Discovery. It's more likely than not, if you're on my channel and saying something, your political beliefs lie one way or another. And by the way, when I say you're conservative, you can still be liberal and right-leaning. It is possible. I know it blows people's minds, but that is possible. One of the most horrific things, as long-term Star Trek fans are part of the problem, one of the most horrific things is long-term Star Trek fans are part of the problem. A woman was talking... Oh, this is talking about me. Okay, so I'm still talking. One of the most horrific things is the long-term Star Trek fans are a part of the problem. A woman was talking to me about why the Discovery captain, Burnham, was great. What? A woman was talking to me about why Burnham was great, and she was saying it was great to see a black woman who's a scientist and is the smartest person in the room. I would never take that joy from a person. So yeah, I don't know his response to that, and it looks like he responds to that, but let me expand on that for a second. When it comes to Star Trek Discovery, I'm not a huge fan, and I have talked about how I think it attacks gender, and I do even think that it attacks white men in some instances. And because of that, I have constantly gotten attacked on Reddit. It is something that people enjoy. And, you know, if you're going to talk about me on Reddit or someone brings it to my attention, I don't mind engaging you, which apparently you're not supposed to do that. If people talk about you on the internet, you're not allowed to go to the public forum they're talking to you about and discuss it, apparently. So anyway, I'm having a discussion, and this woman was coming to me, and she said, I forget where the thread is, but she stated, you know, I really like Burnham because of that, because she's the smartest person in the room. She's a scientist. She's African American. It's just something that I don't feel like I've seen before. Okay, well, I mean, if that's how you feel, then I'm not going to go out of my way to diminish that. Now, I'm going to talk about my own opinions of it on my channel, and if you don't like that, you shouldn't come to it. But if people like Discovery, then I'm not going to go and try to make their lives hellacious or go to their YouTube channels and attack them. You do you. I may disagree, you know? But and that's just the unfortunate thing that we see all the time now, is that people, it's not enough that people don't like something or that they do like something. They have to go to somebody else and tell them why they're wrong for being in the opposite opinion. Huzzah for lore streaming, says Andrew. Huzzah indeed, my good friend. Huzzah. I love Discovery, but I do not hate the Orville. Well, good. Michael Maloney, make the Empire great again. Londo on on Babylon 5 did it first and far better. I agree. Sir Lewis says there was black people in Star Trek since the first show back in the 70s. That's true. I don't disagree with that. But I don't think that anyone can argue what they did in Discovery is far different and far more prevalent, maybe not prominent, than what they did in the 70s and 80s. I think there is something to, in Trek at least, saying we made an African-American woman, the smartest person in the room. Now, they've had diverse casts. They've made non-white people prominent and important. They've made women important too. It's just in this instance you have this collection, and if that speaks to somebody, then I don't know. I don't want to, I don't want to take you from that. That's great. That's fantastic that you connect with that person. That's just me. Mark S.W. Tor, the smart black woman is virtue signaling. You make it sound as if finding a smart black woman is highly improbable or something. First off, I didn't say that. But in Trek, I see what she was saying. So going back to it, now I think he's responding to me. And yet, so let me read what I said one more time, and then we'll continue on. One of the most horrific things is long-term Star Trek fans are part of the problem. A woman was talking to me, specifically Lore Reloaded, about why, of course people would call me, about why Burnham was great, and she was saying it was great to see a black woman who's a scientist and is the smartest person in the room. I'd never take that joy from a person. And yet, as important as these issues are, the writer and Trekkie wonders if it's not a more basic division, the past versus the future. The Orville is an old-style network television show with ad breaks and self-contained episodes that don't assume you've seen the one before. Discovery has been saddled with all of the dreary habits of new television, serialized storytelling that makes it hard to tell episodes apart, sporadic grimness and violence, totally needless swearing. In America, it is responsible for attracting customers to the CBS All Access streaming service and launching an entire universe of spin-offs. Let me read that. One more second. Michael Weir says, gotta run, keep up the great work. It's not that I hate Star Trek, I just feel that they let us down, the writing from the beginning to the end. I agree, and Michael Weir, thank you so much. Again, the support you give is just phenomenal. And yet, as important as these issues are, wonders if it's not a more basic division, the past versus the future. So the Orville is old-style network television, and the new one is... I mean, I would disagree... I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. The Orville is a lot more older style, but I would say there is serialization to it. It's not, they are self-contained, but they also have continuity, which is something TNG and even Voyager didn't like to do. DS9 generally did it well. Discovery is meant for the newer age, though. I would agree with that. I think Star Wars has went that way too. So to a degree, I guess I see it. Uh, Epics00, why is it when Star Trek fans point out continuity issues, we are told we're taking it seriously when in another show this would be praised? I think it's the type of detractors of people who point out continuity issues. I honestly do. Laura, have you seen the clip where someone says Avery Brooks about being the first black captain? Brooks gives him a great response. Yeah, Dylan, how do you play color? I agree with that, Dylan, but from what I understand, he may actually recant some of that in the recent DS9 documentary that came out. All right, back to the article. Like Disney's difficulties with Star Wars, it shows the dangers inherent in trying to update a legacy franchise with a massive fan base. J.K. Rowling has apparently overstayed her welcome in the wizarding world she created, with her every addition to canon greeted with calls for her to butt out. Wow, that I'd agree. As these franchises hit middle age, fans seem to get annoyed when properties aren't turned over to them. High-profile Star Trek fan films like Axanar are being seen as more legitimate than the officially licensed product. The Orville feels like a sequel to the home movies McFarlane made as a teenager, starring himself as Captain Kirk. The Orville is written for age of fan fiction. I'd agree with that. Every work is derivative, says Chambers. That's me. When you look at the original Star Trek series, it was based on a cowboy western in space. Orville is derivative of Star Trek, but I'm not sure that's a bad thing. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's season 1, going back to what we were talking about, was basically not a carbon copy, but copied heavily, right? I don't think that's bad. And it's coming into its own, season 2 and on. And yet it is worth noting that Star Trek traditionally begins each episode with a statement of intent to boldly go where no one has gone before. What is the value of simply gazing back into the past? They can only bank off Star Trek nostalgia for so long before it becomes old hat, says Chambers, hoping that it will lead to spin-offs that, like Deep Space Nine with Star Trek, fill out the world. In 10 years, I do believe people will look more at Orville than they do Discovery. I don't remember saying that. I don't think Jonathan lied. I don't remember saying that. Sure. Which one is it? There it is. Whoop. Come back. Yeah, I think Orville will be held on its own in 10 years. That I do think. I don't think they'll be comparing it against Star Trek Discovery or anything like that. I think it'll be held to its own standard. And at that point, we'll really see what it's worth, right? Overall, at this point, and this may be contrary to what I've done in the past, but how I feel right now is that Discovery is distinct from Orville. Orville is coming into its own. And I don't know that it's necessarily... I don't know that's necessarily Star Trek anymore, or that's, good or bad. Nathan Norman, Laura Reloaded, please see my last post. Nathan, can you repeat? Oh, there it is. Nathan Norman, there is a wall around the Federation. Every border has star bases and listening posts. We have seen them in TOS and TNG. And Captain Tiller Scott was in the first op POC, and we liked her fine. First op POC? Okay, Nathan. He's going back to discussing when I was saying you could have a conversation about how you have to build a wall around the Federation. Again, you could make a better scene than make the Empire glorious again. There was a black woman captain in Star Trek 4, says MacBox. That's fantastic. Look, there may have been black captains and everything. I'm not saying there ever wasn't. What I'm saying is the way Discovery highlights a black woman is distinct and different than any other Star Trek episode, any other Star Trek series ever has. And I don't think you can argue that. Will the Disney and Fox merger cancel Orville? I don't think so. I agree with Avery Brooks. His race isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things. It's only a big deal for Africans living in the U.S. and Europe, which is a tiny minority global. I don't know. I agree with all that, Andrew Clark. I do think that it normalizes it, and I do think that I do agree with how do you play a color. Though, again, Avery appears to have recanted that to a degree in the documentary. I haven't seen it yet, but from the commercials, it seems like he has. We'll see. I don't know, guys. Overall, that was the entire article. Again, you can click in the bottom right hand. Some people think that you have to like sign up or put your card or anything. I didn't have to do that. I think you can do it for free with a free trial or something like that. I hate that you actually have to sign up for it, which is why I'm kind of doing this. But overall, I think Star Trek Discovery fans hate Orville because people who like Orville say it's the Star Trek they're supposed to have. And I think that people are just tribalistic. That's my opinion. Yeah. MacBox says, yep, she encountered the well probe first in a Miranda-class ship. Yeah, I mean, I know who you're talking about. Once you said it, I realized. But, again, it goes back to the focus of it. So, I don't know, guys. I know you guys absolutely, positively love these live streams. You're very supportive of them. I'll try to do more, but honestly, I can't do an episode a day and do live streams. I can do one or the other or every other day, but I can't do both. And you guys seem to like the uploads of the videos more than these live streams, so that's why it is. Apparently, Austin agrees with Virginia. Virginia deleted her message, so I don't know. I think the current obsession with race has taken depressingly far from Martin Luther King and Roddenberry's dreams, where race wasn't supposed to matter. I would agree with that. All right, guys, I think we are going to... Virginia says, we adore these lives. Well, I do it for you, Virginia, specifically. I think I'm going to end it there, guys. I will try to do more live streams. I really will, but it just comes back to what people want to watch. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. If someone could comment, or I will comment. Let me do it right now. Show actually starts around 3:30. So you hit the 3:30. We hit comment. And we hit pin. There we go. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Broken Eyes, thank you again for the support, the super chat. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next Lore Reloaded.